Welcome everyone to the Talk Tactically to Me United podcast. My name is Andy, and on the flip side of the screen is Ali. Today we'll break down Manchester United's tactics in their 3-1 defeat to Brentford. Bro, at this point, United Strand is never going to get his hair cut. Let's be real. We will also discuss the noise around Ruben's job and is Ineos a failure at this point? So if you're new to the channel and like our content, smash a like on the video, comment below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. How are you doing, Ali, on this Monday after the loss in West London?
Tough, man. Just getting harder and harder, man. Look, I said to everyone when we were doing the Chelsea review, this is against 10 men, right? So, reality check, football starts off 11v11, and majority of games you have to play 11v11. It's just going back to all those times I was like talking to other fans and United fans, and I was just like, oh, his system is doing well in Europe. Yeah, even he admitted it's slower in Europe. It's not as intense. The press isn't there, and you have more time on the ball. This is the Premier League. Every single team plays a different style. You have to adapt what you're doing in game. The backlash is, excuse me, it's been it's been pretty bad. The game itself, like he said it, Ruben summarized it well. Like we played Brentford's game. It was a physical game. They broke the game into set pieces, throw-ins, and we kind of lacked like that playing out the back with the wing backs. We did have a couple, decent play style opportunities. I thought the press was off today. I really didn't see them press. They weren't, and I guess that is a way of like how Brentford were playing, right? And we'll get into it, but when they feel like they're gonna be pressed, or even at times not, they just hit that long ball into the channel between the right centre back and the right back, and they kept hitting it time and time again. This is what I'm saying. You need to understand that every single Premier League team plays different, so your system needs to accommodate that. But yeah, how are you? How are you, man?
Dude, I'm just like distraught at everything. Just because it's like you can't get any rhythm with this team. Like you take two steps forward and then it's like three steps back. And you're questioning like where are we at? And also this is an annoying point, especially during like our banter years. It's like we'll lose, but everybody else is when everybody else lost. And then there's like the time where if we won, that's the situation can be different, where it's like, Arsenal drop points, Liverpool drop points, Chelsea lost again. It's like all these teams where we're around and we can quit the banter, we don't take advantage of it. And it's getting annoying to the point where, dude, I don't even know what to do or say. I still like, I still believe in the manager. We'll get to it later of like, I want to back the manager. I want us to be successful, but I think it's the players, the ignorance from Ruben in terms of like, being ruthless. Like we had this whole bomb squad, and I think what we're like, this is what match day 6? Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
match day
six.
6. Match day, or is it 7? Sorry,
It's
it's match
six,
day
six,
6.
six, six have happened.
6 have happened plus Grimsley. So we have 7 games in, and we already have like a good sample size of like people who should be dropped and people who should like be on shorter leashes if they play. And I feel like we had the bomb squad. I think this ruthlessness needs to come into this team right now. And I feel like we can't see the same players playing every week in and week out. I understand why you played because we won last week and you want that continuity and get rhythm, etc. But the writing's on the wall for 7 games in, and it's like these players need to be dropped. And as that's like overall of how I feel. But in terms of the match, like I agree with you. Yes, I think we've seen it before of like you hit the long passes to our center backs, or if you press our center backs and our central defensive midfielder, or even Bruno, we can progress the ball out of the back. And I think that's teams have seen that. And if the teams are committed to the press, we don't do well. It felt like Grimsley where we're not settled and we couldn't handle the press. So any other thoughts before we go to the tactical board?
No,
Let's jump right into it.
so I'll break down all our defensive woes. It's gonna be
Woes or mental collapse or mental lapse.
just, dude, it's basically gonna be just a lot of defensive.
As you're pulling up, I'm gonna make the point of like it annoys me. Well, it annoys me that after the game, Ruben was saying like we've practiced all week these goals, the long ball in, the over the top, things of that nature. So I don't know if that's code for he's throwing the players under the bus, and it's like it's not on him, it's the players. You know, we'll wait and see to find out if that's true in terms of how they play in the next match. But that annoyed me a lot in terms of it's the players, not him. So at this point, the fragility of this team is annoying, and we know we still need to do more clean out, add more players to the bomb squad.
No, I hear that, man. Yeah. So this was like first the first 5 minutes in, we actually progressed the ball really nicely. Ugarte and Bruno do their thing in the middle, and then Dallow's in space. It gets progressed to him, and now we're just in a great position. We got Mbumo on the right, Sesko in the middle, Cunha on the left. What's great is what I noticed about Sesko in this was he looked behind his shoulder as he was here, and he, I guess naturally, as you're a right footer, you want to make this run, right? You want to start here, end here, and then shoot like towards the far corner. So he looks behind his shoulder and sees that Cunha's there. So as soon as he sees that, he starts coming inside this way, and that distracts Collins. So I want to point that out because I thought, that was really good center forward, unselfish play. Cunha's making this run, and I'm telling you, Dallo, just all Dallo needs to do, he needs to get the right weight of pass, the right angle, and the right pace. And he gets it all wrong, and he gives it to Cunha's feet, and that's not what you want in this situation, especially when you got like people running back towards you. You want this into space, right? So you come onto it and strike through it. Dao doesn't do that. He passes it to Cunha's feet, and then at this point, you know, Coyote's there, and Cunha doesn't have the ball under control because he's not expecting it to feet either. He's expecting it to pace, and he's trying to make the best out of a bad situation. And this is obviously the build up to their goal, but it's coming out from like a good attacking move from us. Like this is a good position that we're in. And prior to that, we progressed the ball quite nicely, you know? So Dallow's decision making should have done a lot better. And as you can see, there's a pile up in the box. Sesko, Collins, Coyote, and Cunha, who's like on the ground, whinging, which, okay, yeah, fair enough. And the ball gets out to Henderson, and this is where you're just like completely left exposed. And this is where the training for what you do in your formation, the game plan, hit long balls in behind their centre backs is executed from a Brentford's point of view, right? Henderson plays his ball. Now, Maguire's in two minds. Like, you want to play offside, or, you know, you go with the man. Thiago's already like, yo, I'm gonna beat this guy for pace. I know you can slander Harry for this, but it's just like it is just a split. decision, and on another day that works, right? I think the more logical thing to do is if it's just if the guy's right next to you, it just makes more sense to just go with him because at least by the time he comes around here, like you can kind of put him off or you know do the best you can because that strike he did, that was like nearly uncontested left foot banger, right? Cut across the ball. So I just think, yeah, from like it's one of those weird ones because from an attacking point of view, we were in a good position. It was one pass, and the good teams they get these passes right and they put them away. And then that just shows you the quality of the Premier League. Like that you're 1-0 up away from home 5 minutes in, and instead it's the opposite. It's completely flipped. So that's their first goal. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, the my initial thought was like seeing Delo in the middle of the pitch. It's like he's inverting back to Ten Hag's ways, where he would be like inverting wing back, coming into the middle and passing out. Yeah, I just felt like that pass was bad, and this is part of the point of, you know, players need to be a short leash, and this is where I'm gonna add the load into my own freaking bomb squad of like, if it's the Portuguese favoritism and stuff. I also know that look, Maz was out, Ahmad was out. We really had nobody there. Like I understand all of that and stuff. So he was healthy, necessity to play and stuff. But we can see Maz, Ahmad, Halal Ball members, being better in this situation with the passing. And I felt like, it's good to see him going back into his inverting ways, but it's still bad decision making from him in terms of placing the balls. And then also later in the game, when he's doing crosses when we're chasing, it's like out of left field, it's going out of play and things of that nature. And that was very frustrating to see. And then, like I said, with regards to your take with Maguire, I'm just going to keep it that Thiago's already offside and that was Maguire's offside trap. I'm not going to put so much blame on him. I understand why he did it and what he was planning to do because we've seen this before. We've seen Ruben play with this high line and do this offside trap. So that was like a 50-50 chance. That's like you know, 9 out of 10 times it did not, or sorry, that was the one time out of the 9 to 10 times, like it didn't work. So I'm not going to
Yeah,
blame McGuire, slander him, or anything like that. I think, like I said before in the opening, the ball happened. I was still standing. Cunha was foul. McGuire's in the offside trap. Thiago got away. Pioneer should have done better with something, like at least contested, not like let him come and just do left shot at foot. But it is what it is. You know, fair goals for Brentford. I
yeah,
felt like everything was fine there.
I think the strike was incredible. That was a great
Right.
strike. Yeah, maybe as a goalkeeper he can come out. He's not a goalkeeper that comes out, so I'm not surprised. He didn't come out. On Dallo, I think yeah, like obviously, yeah, he's programmed by Ten Hag that he inverts inside, but I think if you just look at the shape, it's kind of like he's just taken Mbumo like role, right? He's the 10 and Mbumo's the wing back. And then there's something fluid about Amarin's system. But when you're a number 10, when you're one of those number 10s, you got to have quality on the ball. That's just not what Dallo provided at that point in time, unfortunately. And it's almost a good thing that happened because we conceded the goal and it's kind of opened Ruben's eyes. But yeah, that was the first goal.
Hopefully, it opened his eyes. We'll see. We'll see next game.
We'll see. Yeah, so that was the first goal. This was, let's see. Yes, this was the second goal. Oh, okay. Honestly, I've watched this. I've replayed this a lot. I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it to me. I actually don't understand what Dallow's doing in this this goal. So Brentford, they're knocking it about. And then one thing to just make a point out of last game, Brentford played with a back five. It was like 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. They switched back to a four, and it was 4-2-3-1. And Damsgaard played so good in this game, and so did Yarmolenko and Henderson. Those three really played well, and obviously Thiago got his goals. And you know what? Sade played well as well. Like, Brentford played really well, but they switched back to a back four, and my guessing to that is because they wanted to execute this game plan. They also played like horrifically against Fulham last week. So this goal comes about. Brentford are knocking the ball about, and it gets to Yarmolenko, and he's looking up, and he's like, yeah, we're kind of like half pressing them. He looks up, and he's like, again, what's the game plan? The game plan is we're gonna knock it in the air, make it physical in between the lines of the defenders. So he knocks his ball into space where Maguire, De Ligt, and Dalot are lined up. De Ligt is on Sharda. Sorry, Dalot is on Sharda, and Thiago's in between occupying Maguire and De Ligt. And Thiago basically, as his ball's coming round, you're gonna see in the next clip. Just look at where Dalot is. This is where Dalot is, right? Dalot's there, and he ends up inside. He ends up inside. He's past Maguire. He's basically just like palmed Shada off to be by himself. And as the ball is coming over from Yarmolenko, Delict, he's basically lost the flight of the ball. Now I think this is down to Delict being used to playing as that center back. So I think his body positioning, just like the way his body is like shifting, he's just like not got it right. So he's misjudged the ball in flight, and Thiago's chested it down, lays it off to Shada. Dallo has gone walkies. He's gone like to cover for some reason inside. Now, okay, I'm gonna move to the next clip. So the next clip is when Shada gets in on the left-hand side, and Maguire, Delict, and Dallo, they're all ball watching Shada. Now, if in this position, like that's not the danger. The danger is gonna be like around here, the space, right? And they're all ball watching. And the ball comes down, Bayindir palms it off, and Shaw's like he's not physical enough, he's not imposing enough, he's not a centre back. And Thiago gets it in, and again, Bayindir just has weak wrists, lets it slip. But I'm not gonna, dwell too much on that. What I do want to talk about is we are playing a back five, or three centre backs, quote unquote. So, like, these centre backs to me just don't know what they're doing. Like this is a good. We're in a decent position here. Like when this ball is here, it's decent, right? You got Thiago sorted, and you got Sade sorted, and then it's just one ball over the top. There's no intricate movements, anything like that. It's just ball over the top, little bit of physicality, and this to me, Dallo coming inside here is telling me that these players don't know how to play in a back five, right? Because I can understand. if a ball's coming over the top and it's like the Lig's ball, and let's say Sade's not here, and Dallo needs to cover like another runner inside. Sure, go in. Yeah, sure, like go inside. But there's a man there. There's a runner there. I don't know why he's going inside. So this to me is just telling me these lot don't know how to play in a back three, back five, and might need to look at Crystal Palace because those guys know how to play in a back five
with the two midfield.
with the two in midfield. Yeah. So
So
thoughts.
my thoughts is I think that Delo coming in tripped up the lid because I felt like because the lid was from what I remember it was like man to man. He was on the ball when Delit. I'm sorry, when Delo comes in, he lost his step. I felt like
Wait, sorry. Are you saying
so.
Dallo tripped?
No. Dalo tripped up Delit. Not in
No,
terms, no,
that didn't
not in
happen.
terms of like him falling down. I'm saying in terms of Delit was like man for man. He's coming down. Then when Delit does that, Delit comes inside to him. Delit lost his train of thought and he slipped up. Like he then stops.
Right.
He stops going at full pace, and then that's when Shashat breaks away from everyone and runs away towards the line. Because I felt like now, like yes, the Lit should have done better. Like let's be real. I'm not trying to make excuses for our best quote unquote defender, our best like center back,
Right.
right? I just felt like, why is the load dragging away into the middle, leaving a man open? I don't understand what's that because then it causes that to overload. I mean, overload not in terms of players, right? Because as you can see, it's only two men in the box essentially versus our five players. I'm not saying like it's an overload, but I'm just saying that it drags three defenders to one person, one attacking player. Like that doesn't make any sense to be overloaded to that. It should be like a one for one, or you could do is 2-on-2v1 and have zone coverage or something. So
Oh, no, we don't do zone coverage
yeah, I know,
in football.
I know.
It's Monday, but this is a Monday night
Different
football.
football. No. But I'm like 2v1. It's like, okay, if you don't have man to man, at least you have one person on him and then have someone to cover. But if you're both getting sucked in, you're going to have these balls and gaps in the box, and that's what happened. I don't know. So Delict could play in a back three, right? Because he plays it in at the national level.
Wow, he doesn't really get picked.
And that's also another story. But
Yeah.
he has played it in the past.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
think
So I
yeah.
just think like the load is the issue there. Maguire, you can say whatever you have to say about him with regards to that. But I
Yeah, no,
I
I
just
don't
I
think
just feel
Maguire's
like
yeah.
this is just like a classic Ruben defending goal.
But like I'm just questioning why don't these guys know how to play in a back five? Like it's fine, you can pass a player off to someone, but you should know your job by now. And my point on that is the sign of a good coach is to make every single player's responsibility crystal clear, and you practice that in training in relation to the game plan so that when you go out on that pitch, you know your job. And then if every player knows that, you're then gonna perform well as a unit. And if you look at Palace now, every player knows their job. They have a trigger for the press.
Yeah,
Then their like back five knows when to go into a back three. If their two sixes don't, one doesn't go too high than the other, they move together. So it's like it's a very cohesive unit. And Ruben's like he has had a year to implement this, and we have seen improvements in other aspects, but defending, like we keep saying individual, defensive mistakes, but
hmm.
this is a collective unit to me.
So it's a system failure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I just feel that, you know, this goes back to our point before with regards to like we need more effective wingers to be for Ruben to have success. We've talked about this before in terms of like, you know, right wing backs. We don't have like a true Ruben wing backs, right? This is supposed to be like the year that we suffer or whatever. That's why it's like I brought up Dumfries on the right hand side because he knows what to do, especially in a back three because they play it in Inter. That um yeah, I all I can say is this is a collective unit. The coach should have done better, I think. But like I said, he did say they practice all of this. So it comes down to the point of like you have to add the load, maybe Maguire into the bomb squad of like these players cannot play a back three. If this is the system that Manchester United and EOS wants to do.
I think Maguire's fine. I think Maguire's fine. Um, I think he suits a back three.
Better
Uh,
than the back two, yes.
it's just yeah. I'm just like amazed that the players still aren't getting it. And it's again, it's not like Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets like dominating this midfield and playing a great like ball. This is a ball over the top. Like,
Right.
oh, be so serious, United. Right, so the next clip I'm gonna go over is the goal, Sesko's goal. So it's the ball's kind of like contested and we win the second ball. And this is why second balls are just so valuable, especially when you're away from home. It's because once you get that, there is space for players to run into. And Ugarte gets this ball. Initially, he's ahead of Cunha, but I think he comes off his knee, so he like goes past him. And he actually plays a really bad ball out to Dorgu. Um, but like you see Mbumo here, decent position. Sesko again in a position, and then the next clip is Dorgu being dragged all the way out there, and he hits this really looping ball in, and Mbumo is contesting Kelia, and what I observed from Sesko is there's like a pile up here. There's three Brentford defenders and Mbumo, but Sesko pulled away from them and he's operating in the space. And I thought that was really intelligent from him because when, there's a header or a knockdown, it's not, it's more most likely going to land, somewhere in space. And then it ends up with Sesko, and he has a couple of tries at it, and Kelleher produces two crazy saves. Kelleher has probably one of the best reactions in the Premier League. Um, and he two of the two world-class saves, and Sesko sticks it away. But yeah, I just noticed a slight difference in Sesko today. I feel like he's kind of catching up to speed with the Prem. Um he's our only striker, so I'm paying like a lot of attention to him. Even in that first chance where Dalot doesn't pass into Cunha, I really liked the check over the shoulder to make sure he was making that run. Um and again, Dorgu's free on the left-hand side, and that's where, a lot of our good play comes from. So glad to see Sesko score. Yeah, that's basically our goal. He's no longer 007. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Sesko?
Well, never will be at 007 because I think he only played 6 games so far this season. So he saved himself 1 game. No, I
Cunha
think it's a
hasn't though, right?
well, Cunha missed a game, so
Missed the game, but like he
he has to
hasn't.
yeah, he has to score next goal or
Yeah.
assist before he gets the 007. No, so this is classic Ruben system goal. Wing backs produce something, you know. wing backs produce something messy in the box. Yes, there's noise about that. Um, Brian was fouled the goalkeeper because then if that's the case, then we should have been 0-0 against Arsenal. So
You have to mention Andy has to mention Arsenal at least
yes,
once on every
yes,
podcast.
yes, that's a salty game because we shouldn't have lost. You know, we should have gotten at least a point out of that game. No, but that being said, yeah, classic Ruben's goal, system goal, wing backs. I just like the tenacity from Sesko in the box. He didn't give up. Yes, couple misses, etc. But Keller made those great saves. But I felt that, you know, if it was some other striker, I don't think I'm not going to trash Hoyland, but I feel that that's a ball that probably would have gone up with a striker with no confidence, like totally shank it over the top. But he just buried it, and that's good to see. And I hope it just continues because he's making the runs. He's doing the duels. I'm not going to do no stats opta today because there's no real material changes. But I did look at the stats for Sesko, and for his duels, he was 50%. He had 6 duels and won 3. He did the flick on last week's match,
Yeah.
so it's like we're getting there. He just needs more time. He has to play. Good to see you go. No 007. We move on. So,
Yeah, definitely. In the air, like different
right,
dimension added to the attack. So that's
right.
really refreshing to see for sure. So this is this is Brentford. This is just a chance from Brentford. So the reason why I'm highlighting this is because this was the game plan. And this is in the second half. The first half, it was so obvious what the game plan was. So it goes back to your coach. Are you gonna change anything? Um, if the ball in behind is causing an issue either from pace or aerial battles, Lenny Yoro would have been a good player to have brought on at halftime, right? You conceded 2 goals in that period. So, like, I'm just like, is Ruben just gonna make any adjustments here? Because the same types of attacks are happening in the second half. And in this instance, Henderson's got the ball. He's playing it to Yarmouk. And Ugarte again, he's doing his jump where he's pressing. And if you look at Palace, Kamada does the same thing. Kamada, like, he triggers, and then him and Wharton they go together, right? Okay, in this instance, Bruno nowhere ready to go, but look who's open. It's Damsgaard. This is all by design from Brentford. Like Damsgaard had this really interesting role where he was kind of playing as like a free midfielder, and Henderson gets the ball and Damsgaard is the free man. And now, if you notice, everyone else is in, their normal positions. Look at Delict. Delict not marking anybody, but there's a free man here. So Delict has to go and jump, right? Delict has to go and jump. Delict has to go towards Damsgaard. When this ball gets played into him, he has to jump. Wait, let me do that again. Yeah. So Henderson plays the bounce pass. Damsgaard makes himself available, and as soon as this goes as Damsgaard, Delict's like, okay, right, I gotta go press, right? And then again, gaping hole. You see Damsgaard. He eventually kind of bobbles his way down here. I think Ebumo tries to nutmeg him, and it comes back to Damsgaard. Look at Delict's positioning now. Like he's out all the way out here. Shada has Dallo and Ugarte's down here. Bruno's down here. So Damsgaard now, first of all, Mbumo's not really pressing him. He's just there. Damsgaard just picks his head up and he plays this ball in behind Shada because that's where the space is. Like that is where the space is. So he plays that ball, and Delict again, he's out of the equation. All of that was because Brentford freed him up in this midfield, right? Delict has to come out, and then he's ending up in this position. And it's Damsgaard, the guy that Delict initially pressed, who's playing this ball out here. So he plays this ball out here, and Dallo is not really defending all too well against Shada, and Shada squares this ball to Watara, and Watara, he kind of it's an okay shot, but Bayindir makes a good save. That was like a clear-cut opportunity for Brentford. And if you look, we now got Dallo, Maguire, Shaw, and there's like, two guys in the box at this point from Brentford's perspective. And that really should have been a goal. And it's these teams that are coming in, they're looking at, a member of the back three, who can we move out of position? But there's no cover. There's no real oh mobility for Bruno or Gareth or whatever the situation is. So it's happening and again and again and again, and teams are coming up with creative ways to do this. And I thought this was a great Brentford move. Nothing resulted at the end of it, but a square ball in the box with all that time that Ouattara had, like that's not good enough from a defensive point of view. Any thoughts?
Same thing we've been talking about. You draw the lit out of the box and you attack whoever's there. If it's Euro, Maguire, Shaw, especially Shaw, and take your chance. Like this is just a typical what we've seen for the past weeks now. Just draw the lit and get him out of the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, and I
And
thought it
also too,
was
it just shows that the load can press and you know more reasons to add him to the Bob squad.
yeah, yeah. Didn't cover himself in glory in this game, that's for
Mhm.
sure. So the chance where we got the penalty, and I don't think we covered this yet, but Collins, that was a red card. That was a red card all day. That was a shocking decision from VAR because when Mbumo gets there, like he's gonna score if he's not fouled. That's denying of a goal scoring opportunity. That's a red card. So this is our build-up play for that. So initially, Yoro ventures forward and he runs into traffic and he runs into I believe it is Thiago, and he kind of retracts a bit and then kind of slips, but he hits this pass out to Dallo. And just take note of Bruno and Menu in the midfield, quite close together. This is like Ruben's attacking shape. So balls out to Dallo. Dallo first time into Cunha, and then Cunha first time into Mbumo, and Mbumo obviously gets fouled by Collins and should have been sent off. Was I think the reasoning from the Premier League panel was that he didn't have the ball under control. But
And
you're not gonna have the ball under control if someone is pulling you back, right? So, and it would be fine if like Collins is going for the ball. He's not even going for the ball because that's the whole point of this new rule is that if there's no clear indication that you're going for the ball, it's a red card. It's just cynical. So they don't do that. So yellow card for Collins, and obviously Fernandez misses the penalty. My take on that is that Mbumo needs to be on penalties now. I know he missed one at Grimsby, but missing two in the Prem, no, you can't do that. And I think Bruno just needs he needs a little bit of like a reality check. Um, And Bumo to me has been our best player this season, and I think actually giving him that responsibility would be a good thing just for the squad because you're then rewarding good performances, and he's been our best player. His movement's great, you know. He's been asked to do things that he shouldn't really be doing, like for the last goal we're gonna see. But yeah, I would put Mbumo on penalties. Any thoughts on
Don't
these
disagree with you. I
penalties?
just also just talking about the Collins red card. Basically, they say you could because Brian didn't have any possession or control of the ball, but in the letter of the law, it doesn't say about possession or control. It just says, if you deny a goal scoring opportunity. So again, this is more of the Premier League not being consistent with the rules here, and it's becoming a red flag. But I know I totally agree with you. Brian needs to take it to control of penalties. He's doing well in the box. We're starting to see the link up between Cunha and him. That's great to see. More to go.
Yeah, and so like again, like it's hard to. I know I just spent like 20 minutes whatever talking about like how defensively we're so bad, and I'm not done yet. But this is the good part of Ruben's system is the space for the wing backs, and you get it to your number tens, and then they have to provide quality. So that part is you know the good part, but really this is the weak part. Like this the whole defensive output. And saying that, this is the last goal. Look, Kobe's not he's not match sharp. He tries to put his foot on the ball, and I think he tries a drag back or he tries something, and he messes it up a little bit and he gives up possession. What just would have been so much easier is if he just plays this pass into Bruno. It was right there, and he was trying because we see Kobe, he does this. He kind of puts his foot on the ball, and then he's trying to do like a link up with one of these front men, like you hold the ball because he does it with Hoyland. Hoyland pins the defender down, and then you pass this ball back. I'll run into space. I'll try and link something else. So like, this is all hypothetical, but that's Kobe's link up play. And he's relatively good at it. But in this incident, he's not sharp enough. He does make a mistake. Ball was out to Bruno, like especially with a man there. And then what happens here is Mbumo, who's playing wing back, because Dallo is actually the right centre back. Dallo makes the an overlapping run, and Mbumo goes in for a slide challenge, and Brentford progress the ball. And then Jensen strikes this ball in the middle of the goal. And I don't care how hard, how much it dips, like you need to say that. So Binder, like that's actually embarrassing. That's really embarrassing because if it's in the middle of the goal, that's where you stand. Like, yeah, and I thought it was a wonder goal when I saw it. I was like, oh, it's top bins. It wasn't top bins. So a little bit frustrating, but all the like the confusion in the second half was so desperate, to be honest. Like put Mount as like a 10 and then a left wing back. Euro's out up there, Xerxes up there. Yeah, it was I don't want to swear on here, but it was something show. It was a bad show. That last goal. That's the end of
I
my
already I already said my piece about
defensive.
Kobe. Like, dude, I already said my piece about Kobe. It's like, dude, you want to complain about playing and stuff? Put up or shut up, man. It's like I can't hear anymore. Whoever's talking on him. I'm tired of all these young players. Whoever's talking on your behalf and it leaks it out to the public, Like just stop. Like you know, the grass ain't greener on the other side most of the times here. Like, just stop. Like, do what you got to do and be better. Because also too, like, I was also mad about like he's just throwing up his hands up in the air and getting frustrated, like he's freaking Bruno. Like, it's Bruno's toxicity is like infected this whole team where they're getting pissed off that he made a mistake and they score a goal. Like I don't want to see that. Just own up. Go get the ball, bring it back out. I know it wouldn't make a difference. The game's over because it's 3-1 with like 2 or 3 minutes left of extra time. But it's like, come on, bro, go get the ball and stuff. You want to play. You're not showing me the reasons why you get to start over a Bruno, or if you want to drop one of the Ugarte or Casemiro. Like you need to be better on the ball, your decision making, and at least put in the hustle into it. You're 20, like 21 years old. Like, come on, you can hustle.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't think he's match sharp, to be honest. But yeah, you don't need to be match sharp to hustle.
Right.
I didn't I didn't watch him do the hands. Like I wasn't looking at his antics when the goal went in. I do know Cunha has a tendency to do that as well, like put his ha hands up in the air and um. I think that's a good point you make. Like, is Bruno's is that toxicity kind of filtering down into the team? That's not what you need from, your captain. But yeah, like I think players need to take Mbumo's as an example. He's working hard, he's playing hard, he tries his best. He's still not there yet, but like
Yeah.
yeah, it's getting better. I'm seeing improvement from Sesko. Uh Cunha, yeah, he just again decision making and he
And
has
this
that quality.
and
So
this goes back to my point when we did the transfer show of like if we had to sacrifice one of our, new additions for a midfielder, because we know the midfield is the problem, I would still sacrifice Cunha. Like I think Cunha could have been next year. Brian is what everything I wanted and more from him. And I felt like Cunha could have just waited till next year
yeah.
because we have Bruno. Like if you had sold Bruno to Saudis and then do what you did and use that money to go get a midfielder, then fine. But you have a log jam and stuff. So, you know, I didn't I well this is probably a good segue unless you have anything else on the tactical board, but I think this is a good segue into what's going to happen to Ruben. The system is Ineos a failure at this point because like they don't know what the hell they're doing. So we are filming this on Monday the 29th. We're in the evening time in New York. Uh so a lot of news has dropped out today from Lori Whitwell from The Athletic, my best friend, as everyone likes to joke. uh, on the Talk of the Devils podcast about Ineos itself. And then there is a group of reporters on a Twitter account that will show, and I'll share my screen in a few, basically breaking some news that the hierarchy of Manchester United has spoken to Ruben that he needs to change the system from a 3-4-3 to a 4-3-3. So we'll break it down as I pull this up. So let me just bring up Lori's tweet. This is from Stretford Paddock, our good friends as well. We've met them this over the summer when they were here in New York. Great group of guys. They essentially put it in their tweet of what Lori said on the Talk of the Devil podcast. You know, so let's do this. Okay. So here we have the tweet. So from Lori, like I said, if Ruben goes, does that bring the spotlight on Omar and Jason or on the other people that were involved in getting to this point? So I think that's why they would ultimately want to see it through And I think ultimately seeing through not firing Ruben and keeping him. And I think that they still feel like it could still work. But I think you're getting to a point now where those questions are going to become louder and louder, and ultimately results will dictate it. I think it's fragile. I do think that the hierarchy, Ineos, wants it to work because they know that the ramifications are, but I feel that you can't ignore it if they continue like this. So basically, this is what we were saying before in terms of Ineos came in, as most sports, when they have new ownership, new general manager in the American sports, who football director, whatever, they want their own guy to come in, right? So we already know Ineos messed that up with Ten Hag about they should have sacked him because they know that he wasn't their guy. They just kept it on to please most of our fans because our fans said, he won a trophy, back him, give him time, he'll succeed. But from the beginning, Ineos did not like Ten Hag. They let him go after what? I think 11 games. Yeah, because it was end of October, November. Yeah, October international break. They sacked him.
Well,
So
they were interviewing new managers whilst he was still
yeah,
manager.
and during the summer, yeah, and that's like
Like
disrespectful.
that's disrespectful, and it's like I'm not the right guy for the job. Um,
Right.
so it's
I
just
actually was excited when they actually announced that we're giving him like a 1 year extension. I was like, yes, that's my effing manager. They're backing him because you know what? I like Ten Hag. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ten Hag. I know what he was trying to do and stuff. He just didn't get the players for it, right?
did that.
Putting that aside, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
think no, I think there's such an emphasis on getting the right players, and I know I'm the other way. I'm like, you need to improve the players you have and bring in, if you want a new player, look at the youth academy first, right? For specific positions, not centre back, maybe a wing back, like, or a winger, right? Like, those are probably easier positions to go into the youth academy. But it's like always got to get the right players, the right players. Like, if Ruben leaves, we're gonna have to go out and get some more players, and then we have mismatch of like the 3-4-3 and like a 4-3-3. So it's just like improve your players first.
I agree with that, but I think in this modern day, it's like you want to build a philosophy because, like, the point we were trying to make earlier, or
But
what we just,
I'm not saying like you can't build a philosophy. You can build a philosophy. Part of being a good coach is like being able to teach someone, right? This is what you got to do. And like some players can't adjust to it. I get it, but like you can still have a way of implementing that vision by like coaching them up.
so, but
That's what
then,
I'm
but
trying to
then,
say.
and I understand that. And the point I was trying to make is like, what we've seen in modern football is that, or like how every proper club is run, right? You have your director of football, you have your technical director. They're the ones who set up the system. They want to know this is how we're going to play. This is how we want our wing backs, center backs, whoever, how to move and stuff. And we're going to go through recruitment and find those players to fit that system, especially in with the coach, right? Because I think we've seen it now in modern football that the coach pretty much dictates of like who they want. All the big teams of like if you're the player's not fitting in, they're not going to play, right? We've
Well,
seen that with
depending on how
Pep.
you're set
We've
up,
said
right?
we've said that with Pep. Like if the player they brought in, like for example, like Claudio Bravo, right? They brought in Claudio Bravo to come play in that first season. He couldn't play out of the back. He couldn't handle the tenacity of the Premier League. So what they do, they drop him and spend how much? 30, 35 mil
Yeah.
for Anderson. So and
Edison, yeah.
then yeah, and yeah, Anderson, and go on and move on. So it's like things of that nature is that what we see from the club. So we have the philosophy, we have what they want from the top down. Okay. And I think going back to your player to your point about the players, right? About it's your coach to teach them and stuff. I feel like that they don't have this squad. Most of the players doesn't have the technical aspects to fit into multiple systems and have the flexibility to play different systems, play different ways. And I feel like that's what recruitment has been doing under Ineos. What I appreciate of them, of like they've talked about Euro. Yo can play in the back three, could play the back four. He's
They didn't
flexible.
know that though.
Huh?
Euro's only ever played in a back four.
Right, but they said that he has the skills and the ability, the flexibility to
Right.
play the black three because of the
Okay.
fact that he can track back and do some of the balls, can
Right,
come
right.
progress forward in the right center back and do those balls, right? We've seen it, right? Yes, you're correct that he's only played in a back four.
Because he was bought with, with Ten Hag in mind, and
Right, but
yeah,
they've said that they said that he would probably excel under Ruben because he can play a back three, right? That's the same
uh,
thing why they brought in Patrick as well. The same aspect of
well, yeah.
he could do the wing back and he can also play a four. So they're looking into
I don't know, Patrick.
um,
Defensively, Patrick. I see that's if we go back into a back four. I don't know if Patrick's good defensively because if he has Luke Shaw in front of him, okay, yeah, Luke Shaw's not the best left centre back, but it's still a body
right,
there to cover back. Like, um,
right,
that's going to be a learning curve for Dorgu. I think he's a offensive player. And I was talking to a mate about this actually. He needs to look at like Nuno Mendes
right.
because that I feel like Dorgu, if he applies himself, that could
That's his
be it.
ceiling. That's essentially
Yeah,
his
yeah,
ceiling, and that's what Ineos is doing in terms of
yeah.
trying to get those players to hit that ceiling throughout multiple systems, right? So I feel like the recruitment is coming there. That's why they hired what's his name, Christopher Vial from
Brentford? No,
no, from Red Bulls.
Red Bull. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Didn't they
who's
signed
like
someone from Brentford? I forgot who he was.
right. So it's things of that nature where we have to get better with technical players. And I feel like we're going in that right direction, especially when, signing the number six from Colombia. He has a high ceiling. Kone, the whole goal was for him to be a proper six.
Right,
So,
yeah.
the ceiling is there. They're looking at players to go and get to fit that role. So I feel like we are getting better there, but we still have so much dead wood on this team that they only know how to play one way. Or if we've seen so much that they can't adapt to playing on a back three that they need to go. So long story short, it's that higher ups tells the players how to do, and this is where like Ruben is not a manager. Manchester United said they hired him as a head coach. So proper football clubs, they're the ones who set the higher ups, technical directors, and director of football. They set up the style, set up the play. The head coach implements it. So this is where it goes back to, you know, Ineos doesn't want to fail. They already messed up with Ten Hag. They dropped the ball with Dan Ashworth, paid his gardening leave and then sack him a couple months later just because he was against hiring Ruben. So this is on them.
And
This is
he
their guy.
advocated for Ten Hag.
Right. And he advocated for Ten Hag. So this is on Ineos of like, this is their guy. Like, we know the City connection because let's be real. City hired all the best upper management
Yeah,
from Barcelona.
yeah.
Like all those guys that run City are from Barcelona. So who does Manchester Ineos goes after for the Man City guys? Fine. Let it be like that because they're the best of the best. Fine. They may be out of, you can make arguments that Omar hiring a chief operating officer to CEO, and then, I think Jason was like their U21 technical director or some crap like that before. But it's like you hire the best people in these spots to help build back Manchester United. So this is their face. This Ruben was their guy because everyone knew that once Pep retired or left Man City, Ruben was going to be Man City's coach because they already went and got the sporting directors as their director of football. So it was already matched. So they beat that. So we could already assume that this is their guy because they poached him before he went to Man City,
We-
and they have to
Yeah.
stick to it. So it's like to hear them saying that we're going to sack him and things of that nature, then that shows failure on Ineos because this is their guy.
Yeah. We don't have a good history of people wanting to go to Man City and then stealing them.
But that is also
Like
true.
Sanchez, um, Ruben, Omar. Omar's, he's not doing a good job just yet. Who's the other guy?
Cristiano
Fred,
Ronaldo,
Ronaldo,
the
Fred.
part two.
Like all those players were about to go to City, and then we steal them, and
It's not working out. But then it's like,
it's not
again, it's the
working out.
system. It's just
It's I was hopeful when like Omar came over because I was like City are very well run.
right.
Um, but what I think I like their other guy Shiki.
But to see,
Yeah, I'm
but
not,
yeah,
you might
but
say
he's
Tsuzuki.
Barcelona. Yeah, Tiki. I think it's like
Shiki, yeah,
yeah,
Shiki.
but he's Barcelona. He came. They poached him from Barcelona and did build that up
But
with
like what I
Soriano.
really admire about Man City is that the way their under 21 teams and their teams are run is so amazing because they're taught to play a certain way. And I just like our under 21s are just used to winning. And I'd like to see that. I want to see
No,
a play
that
style.
yeah, but with Fletcher going into the U18 and stuff, there is a distinctive style in the youth. It's just when they get up to here, they don't know how to play because of the system and stuff.
Well,
And that's
right now it's really
right,
bad. It's really
right,
bad. Like,
right,
I will admit, if you go into City or Arsenal, you put the academies in, they're playing really well and they're with like, world class players. We
right,
don't have that just yet. But
right,
yeah, it's definitely coach has to be looked at.
right. So
The guys
this
up the top, everyone needs to be looked at.
right. So this is where it's like if they sack Ruben, they're saying that I will lose confidence in them because I will lose confidence in Ineos because it's like, guys, what are you guys doing? You told me you're going to change from the Glazers. You hired all these fancy names. You know, I'm going to give you a pass on Ten Hag because, like I said, every
Yeah.
new regime wants their own guy and stuff like that. Like that, I understand. I didn't want you guys to sack him, but you sack him, fine. You brought your own guy in, and now you're going to sack him, and you sack other people along the way to get to this point. It's like, guys, what are you doing? Because you guys they can't afford to have another like, oh, we're sorry, we're going to make it right again.
What is it? What's really gonna if they do that, nothing's really gonna affect them. Like the fans are gonna get annoyed. They don't care. They don't care about the fans. They don't really care about the club. They're making all these redundancies, and I think Jim Ratcliffe, his primary like mission is to build the new stadium, right? And if he's trying to get the government to make that, that's actually a smart move. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but yeah, like if we lose confidence in him, he's gonna be like, yeah, and like I don't think they really care.
Okay.
Um,
So then, you know what, Ali? Let us both do the whole 50 plus one. Let's do the fan. Let's own back the club. Let's start a campaign to own back all the freaking shares from whatever the Glazers own and whatever freaking Jim Ratcliffe owns. Let's go back and buy them shares and we can own Manchester United and make it right.
mate,
Let's start that campaign.
that'd be iconic. I'm
50
pretty
plus
sure that
one,
campaign's it's got already been started.
probably.
Yeah.
But 50 plus one there. So we can
Yeah.
take back our club. So that sets the stone of like, okay, Ineos knows that if they fire Ruben, it looks bad on them. So now we have that precedent set. We go to this Twitter account, Indie Kali News. They have been very good this past summer. It's a group of like two, three reporters together, and they've been spot on this past summer with United News and Liverpool, etc. So I would give this with a grain of salt of like not everyone's 100% correct. And if we haven't heard from Ornstein with Laurie or Fabs, the three golden swords for Man United News or whatever, it's skeptical. But they have the exclusive that according to sources at Manchester United, Ruben Amorim was called in by the bosses for urgent meeting. The manager has been asked to change the formation to 4-3-3. Ruben was left speechless with the formation request. Certain Man United officials believe the manager is to get sacked is now when and not if at this stage. So that's a big stuff. They want their guy to succeed. Ruben's been on the in the press conference, etc., saying that he only knows one idea, and that's 3-4-3, and any different variations of a back three. So for them to now, the bosses, etc., to say you have to play a 4-3-3, this is now the fight between us as fans. Is like we want to be a proper club where the higher ups dictate the style of play, formation, etc. And it's now the head coach, not the manager, head coach to implement it. So where's the tug and tie there of what's going to happen? Because to me, I will. We suck in a four in the back four. We suck in the back three. You know, it's the players is there. It's like nothing changes. You know, I've said he has to stick into his back three because we sold and loaned all of our wingers this past summer. You know, we only have legit only two proper wingers on our team in Brian and Ahmad.
I can
Bruno,
I can see
Mount,
Cunha. I see Cunha
Cunha
play
can
there.
play, yeah, but they're not proper wingers, and they're more like inside forwards. They're gonna people to tug in into the box or cut across. So
I think
this is big.
there's an element of Manchester United and wingers are like synonymous with each other, and Ruben's system breaks that. That it's not about wingers, it's about wing backs. And Manchester United, like that is what the crowd want. That's what the city probably wants, is
Right.
bring back. But like football's evolved as well. Like they do have to realize that. Like, they don't make wingers like they do back in the day. But
Yeah.
4-3-3,
So that's big in terms of, so we'll
like
see if he does end up playing a 4-3-3. And in our next video that we will drop in terms of the preview for Sutherland.
Sunderland.
Sutherland, yeah, Sutherland till I die, We will see how a back four can play because a I have a combo system where it can please Ruben in his back three and on paper be a back four and 3-3. But any other last thoughts with this news? Just because it is big, we will see the tug of war between is Ineos if Manchester United is a proper football club or Ineos doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Time will tell.
All right. Well, that is it for our review for the Brentford 3-1 loss. Hope you enjoy it. Well, not the loss, but our tactical analysis and our feedback and our thoughts about where does this go from here. Again, give us a like, drop us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to us. Thank you for joining us, I guess. Ali, it was a pleasure.
Pleasure. Let's get them next week.
All right, everyone. Talk to you guys on the flip side.